As the 20th century dawned and big business boomed, many had come to call the previous 20 years the Gilded Age. Wealthy families like the Carnegies, Vanderbilts, and Rockefellers enjoyed the fruits of big business and the fruits of others' labor. But for most American families, it was far from a Gilded Age, as they incurred the harsh realities of sweatshops, slums, child labor, corruption in government and business, disease, and racial prejudice. As Americans ushered in a new century, they began to demand change, equality, reform, and the Progressive Era was born.
The progressive movement owed much to the writers and journalists known as muckrakers, a new and powerful voice for reform. Among their many contributions, nothing had a greater impact on public policy than Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, a staggering and nauseating description of the meatpacking industry.
There were cattle which had been fed on the refuse of the breweries and had become covered with boils. It was a nasty job killing these, for when you plunged your knife into them, they would burst and splash foul-smelling stuff into your face.
The passage of the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act is a great illustration of how progressivism succeeded because it was able to galvanize the American population as a whole.
I aimed at the public's heart, and by accident, I hit it in the stomach.
That power of publicity that the muckrakers beautifully mobilized was the way in which progressives got enough Americans focused on this issue that corporations that didn't want to change, powerful meat packers and others, drug companies that didn't want to have to give up their freedom, finally came to the conclusion that they'd better settle.
Throughout the history of the United States, women have fought for equality. Feminists Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott organized the first Women's Rights Convention in 1848. There they made the first public demand for voting rights for women. After years of organized rallies and civil disobedience, women in the United States finally won the right to vote in 1919 with the passage of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.